everyone, my name is Ananya, and here I am again with Milestone 3 of the Advanced Data Management course. So, the agenda for today's presentation will be basically we will be discussing two type of replications. One is primary secondary, and the other is Galera peer-to-peer replication. And for both of these replications, we'll see the overview, we'll implement it, and we'll see the advantages and disadvantages of both of them. Then towards the end, I'll just ingest some data in the Galera as well as primary secondary servers from the Milestone 1. So the data that we implemented, that we ingested there, I'll ingest the same data, and I will also discuss node addition, removal, and some failover testing for the Galera peer-to-peer replication, and we will end with the AI disclosure. So, starting with the primary secondary overview, it is a one-way replication model where one primary node handles all writes and updates are copied to one or more replicas. So basically, we just have one primary node which can write, other nodes cannot write. So whatever we write to the primary node, it gets replicated to all other nodes also. So replicas continuously follow the primary's changes to maintain a copy of the data, and this is commonly used to scale read performance and offload queries from the main database. Now, to begin the implementation, I first made the security group. I named it as MariaDB RepelSG, and I just added one inbound rule as of now, and then I've created this security group. Why I just created it with just one inbound rule is because the other rules that I have to add, I'll have to give them the same security group name that I've created. So, for example, I just created the security group, and now I will edit. So from here, I will edit inbound rules, and then I'll add another rule, and the source will be the security group that I just created. So this was the reason of me creating the security group with just one rule, because if I haven't done that, I will not get this to add here, right? So once I did this, I saved the rules, and now I'll be launching instances. So I will launch two same instances with with selecting the existing security group that I just created, and these are the two servers that were launched. I named one primary and one secondary, and as you can see, the security group name is same for both. So these are exactly same servers. So now implementing, you can see here I have two servers, one secondary and one primary. Now, okay, sorry, yeah. So secondary and primary, I have these two servers, and this will be my flow of today. So I will first edit the config file. So this is the config file present in each server for MariaDB. And I'll go to this directory. I've copied this path. Then I'll go to this path in my primary server. I'll go to the file, the config file, and there I will paste some of the statements that will tell the server that you are the primary one. So I need the server ID, I need to enable the logging. Then I need some additional information that is here, the log base name and the bin log format. So bin log format is kept as mixed. Like we can keep it as row based or statement based, but generally we use mixed because that way we get the features of both statement based and row based replication. We don't need the bind address, so I commented it. Now I will just save this config file and come out of it. Now, because I made some changes, okay, so I'm not able to save this file. There is some kind of error. So the file was not saved for some reason, so I will again be editing it. I'll just move ahead. So I saved the config file, and now that I've made some changes in the config file, I'll have to restart MariaDB. So that's why I use this restart command to restart. Now I will make a replication user in my primary server, whose detail I will give to the secondary to tell it that this is the primary server, right? So I created a user, I gave it some replication permissions, and then I will move on to my replica server. I will do a kind of similar thing. I'll go to the config file, I'll make some changes there. So basically, I don't need much info in the secondary config file. I'll just need the server ID, and I'll have to enable the login bin. That's all I need, unlike the primary. Now also I've changed the server ID from 1 to 2 because we have to have different server IDs, like they have to be unique. So I saved that the changes, and now I am restarting the MariaDB. So now the connection should have not been made. So basically we have not told the secondary that who is the primary, right? So I'll be copying the private IP address for the primary, and I'll paste it here in this statement. I'll copy this entire statement and paste it in my secondary MariaDB. So now secondary server knows that this IP address is my master, and this is the user which which is going to give me some replication data. So now if I run this statement to show the status, I saw that the status what was up and running. Now I will just insert some data in primary, and I will see that if I'm able to see the same data in my secondary server also. So I created a test database in my primary server. Now I'll see. So the same server is visible in the secondary also. So that means replication is working fine. Now I'll try to make my secondary server as read only, because what if we write on our secondary, and like what if we are able to write on the secondary, but that data will not be replicated to primary, right? So that will create some data inconsistency between both the servers. That's why I'm trying to make my secondary server as read only. However, I saw that I was able to insert data in secondary after this change also. So I debugged it. I like looked around and I used GenAI to just understand why is this happening. So you'll see it later on. But now, even after I did read only to my secondary server, the MariaDB server is up and the replication is working fine. So I will just insert some data in primary to see if the replication is working fine. So I will insert some rows. I'll create a table and I'll insert some rows in that table, and I will see the same data in the secondary if it's visible or not. And then I'll try to insert data via secondary, which I believe should not have been worked, but it actually did. So we'll see it later. So I created a table, inserted some data into that table. So now I have data in my table called students, and now I will see in the secondary if I see the same data. So I go to my database, I see that the table is created, and we have the same data in secondary. So that means the replication is working fine. Now, as I told you, right, I will try to insert some data in my secondary, and now my expectation is that the data will not enter, but it did. So it shouldn't have been so, because I made my secondary as read only. But I figured out that I cannot do that because I'm running it on root, right? I took help from GenAI, and I just like browsed some of these things. So I got to know that in MariaDB it's like we cannot just block root to write into our MariaDB server. So as you can see here, I realized that called global super read only, and do we can block our root user using this. But then again, I read on ChatGPT that super read only system variable exists in MySQL but not in modern MariaDB, so I cannot block root from writing in my secondary. So other ways to do this is either I can make some SQL triggers, or I can make some other users, and I can block the write via those users but not via root. So maybe we'll try these things some other time. For this milestone purpose, my recommendation is that we should keep our secondary as read only to avoid any inconsistency. And yeah, so I figured that out, and I jumped to the next part. So now, primary secondary replication, there are some advantages and limitations. So advantages are that it is simple to configure and maintain. It improves read performance through replica offloading. It is useful for analytics, backups, and reporting. So the thing is that we can redirect all the traffic going to primary to the secondary node, just to take some load off from the primary. So we can do stuff for analytics, reporting, backups in our secondary server, so that our primary server can work efficiently. Now, there are some limitations. The limitation is that uh, the replication is asynchronous. So basically, the primary server does not wait for the secondary's reply that it has, you know, received the data. And this is not good, because if our primary gets shut down for some reason, the data, we don't know that if the data reached the secondary or not. So this might contain some lag, and this might contain some inconsistency in our servers. The second limitation is that primary node is a single point of write failure. So if the primary node is shut, we cannot write anywhere in the network. And the failover requires some manual intervention. It cannot automatically come up, and there is no solution of resyncing the data and all. So for that reason, we have Galera peer-to-peer replication. So this is a synchronous multi-master replication system where all nodes can both read and write. Each transaction is committed only after all nodes agree, ensuring strong data consistency, and this is designed for high availability and fault tolerance. Now, moving ahead to the implementation for Galera. So, I created some security group for Galera 2, like I did in secondary primary. I'll maybe show that later. So for now, I created those a security group, and then using that security group, I launched 3 servers. These are similar servers, like they are not different in any way. So I've named them server 1, 2, and 3. And now I'll do some similar steps like before. So I'll go to the config file. I will copy all these statements you can see here. So in the third statement here, we need to put the private IP addresses of all the servers which are in the cluster. So I'm copying and pasting all the 3 private IP addresses, and then I will add the IP address of the node 1, and I'll paste all this data in my config file. Then I'll save the file, and For now, I will not do anything. I will just do the same thing on other two servers as well. So you can see that the data has been pasted in my config file in server 1. Now moving to server 2, I'll again go to the config file and I will make some changes in my statements. I will copy the private IP address of my server 2, paste it there. I changed the name from node 1 to node 2. I copied all the statements and I pasted here. And then I will do the same thing for server 3. So as you can see, the data has been pasted in server 3 too. Now moving ahead, I will bootstrap one of the nodes. So this is a way to begin the Galera clusters to enable the cluster, and we will bootstrap only one node, not all the nodes. And the thing is that while doing this, our MariaDB also gets restarted. So there is no need to restart MariaDB using the specific statement of restart MariaDB, but instead we will just use this command called Galera new cluster in our server 1. So I'll just paste that command here and I will enable the cluster. Then if I see the status, I see that it is active, the MariaDB is active. Now, I do not need to bootstrap the other two servers. I'll just simply start MariaDB using this command. And the same thing I'll do in server 3. So my expectation is that now I should see that all three nodes are in the Galera cluster. And we can do that via this command. It will tell us the size. So the size is 1. That means only node 1 is inside the cluster. Here it is 0. And again, it is 0 for server 3. So there is some issue. So I just debugged it a little bit, that what was the issue. And I'll jump to the issue now. So the issue was that I didn't have the proper security group port. So I should have this 4567 port, which is actually the main Galera replication port, but instead I had 4467. So I corrected that and I took the help of ChatGPT. Then I just restarted the MariaDB on server 2 and server 3. So hopefully I will see that the cluster size is 2. And it is 2. So yeah, so this node is inside the cluster. Now I will see if the third node is inside the cluster as well. So I'll have to restart it. I haven't done that. I'll restart the MariaDB here and then I will see the cluster size. It is 3. So that means our cluster is up and running with 3 nodes. So moving ahead, we'll test our Galera cluster. So I'll insert some database. I'll insert some tables and rows and the database in one of the servers and see if it is being replicated to others or not. So this is a broad detailed info about the replication. So I see that it is synced, the status of the server is primary, the size is 3. So now I will create a database on server 1. So my students table is created and some data is inserted. But I did this on server 1, so this should have been replicated to other two servers as well. And yes, I can see the same data in server 3 and I see it in server 2 as well. Yeah. So I inserted data on server 1. Now I will try to update data in server 2 and server 3 also. So I'll insert some data in server 2. I see that the fourth row is added here also and here also. So in all the 3 servers I have the data in sync. Now I'll try the same with our last node, node 3. I will update some data. Okay, so my grade should have been just 1 character only, so I will rectify that. Now I see that the grade has been updated for Ravi. And it is the same in other two servers as well. So our Galera replication is working fine. So now moving ahead to adding and removing nodes. So I just had 3 servers, right? Server 1, 2, 3. Now I added another server 4. I launched it the same way with the same security group as you can see. Now I'll connect with the 4th server and I will do some same configurations here and connect it to the network. So if I see now, the value of size is 0, right? Because it is not a part of any cluster. So I'll make some changes in the config file and then do the same. It's not as easy as it sounds because um, all my other Galera nodes were down. Like the MariaDB was, like I wasn't able to, restart it, and the MariaDB wasn't coming up. So I took help from ChatGPT, and I saw that the issue was that all the three nodes, which were earlier a part of the cluster, were like stopped at once. I mean, so it says that when all nodes in Galera cluster are stopped at once or network partition happens, there's no primary component anymore. So Galera prevents startup until one node is explicitly told to be the seed. So that's why I was not able to just load MariaDB in all the three servers. I was able to do that on the fourth server because that was new, that was not a part of any cluster, but I wanted other servers to be up, right? So what I did was I just stopped all the servers and then restarted them again. So I stopped MariaDB on server 3, server 2, now server 1. Now on the primary node, I will bootstrap my cluster. So earlier it was server 1, right? Where I bootstrapped it, but as you see, it's not working there. So I believe that this was not the last server where I made edits and where I closed it. So that's why I'm not able to bootstrap it. So I just hit and trialed, and I was able to make server 2 as my new seed, or I was able to bootstrap server 2. So I did that. And now if I see the size of the cluster on this node, I saw that it's 1 because right now only server 2 is in the cluster. We haven't done the setup on server 4, that's why it's not in the cluster, otherwise it would have been 2. So now I've bootstrapped server number 2, so I will restart the other two servers with just normal start statement. So now if I go to MariaDB and see the cluster size, it says 2 because now I have server 2 and server 3 in the cluster. Now I'll restart my server 1 and the size should be 3 now. So I restarted it and I went to MariaDB and now I will see that the size is 3. Yep. Now I will configure on the server 4. So I'll go to the config file. I'll paste the private IP address of this new server for the cluster to know that this is a part of the cluster. And then I replaced the node address with the same IP address. Since I changed my configure file, I'll now have to restart it. So I will restart my MariaDB server. And hopefully now I see the size of the cluster as 4. And yes, I see that the size is 4 now. Now the fourth node that we recently added is also part of the same cluster. So if I run the same command on all the 4 servers, I see that the size is reflected as 4. So now I'll see if I can see the database in my fourth server because I didn't do any operations on my fourth server, right? I just added it new. But I see, so like here I saw that I see the same data in my fourth server also. So due to SST, the data got automatically copied from other servers to this server also. So that way our data is in sync. Now I will just stop my server 3 and I will see that if the other servers are working fine, if the network is up, and if I'm able to write some data and it is being replicated or not. So the server 3 is now not connected to MariaDB. I'll check the cluster size. It should have been decreased to 3, and it is. The same is seen on other servers also. So now the size is decreased from 4 to 3. I will just insert some data and I'll see if the replication is working fine even after removing one node. So I'm updating the fourth row. It is updated. Now I'll cross check in other servers if the change is reflected or not. Yes, it is. In server 2, I can see the change. Now I restarted my server 3. Again, the cluster size should be 4, and yes, it is 4. Now since I restarted, I will see if the change that I did before the server was down, like up, I'll see if that change I can see, and yes, I can see that the grade was changed. So that the servers automatically, um, make each other in sync, and that's the idea behind Galera network. So now coming to the advantages and limitations of the Galera peer-to-peer replication. So advantages are, as you saw, I think all nodes are active, no single point of failure. So even if one node is down, the other nodes are working fine, and whenever the node comes up, the data gets synced automatically. So automatic node recovery and synchronization is done. It ensures that real-time consistency is maintained across the cluster. Then there are some few limitations. For example, slightly higher latency for write operations due to synchronization. So as we saw, right, that the restarting of MariaDB was taking a bit of time. So this is because it, it was being synchronized. It was not asynchronous. So the other clusters were waiting for a response, which resulted in higher latency. Now, this requires careful handling of network partitions to avoid split brain scenarios, and this is pretty complex than primary, secondary stuff. So now coming to data ingestion. So as I discussed earlier, that I'll be inserting some like the same data that I ingested in Milestone 1 in Galera, as well as the primary secondary structure. So I will. So the first step is generating the test data. I will do that using this script. I created a file, and now I will make use of virtual environment to run this file and to generate data. So I'll maybe skip the video a bit. So I activated my virtual environment. I installed Faker. That was the dependency we needed to create the fake data. And now I ran this file. So I can see all the test data is here. So the next step is to create a file that will load my data or create my database. So basically this is the structure schema creation file. So I just simply copied and pasted the code to create database schema. Now I will run this file. So before I just run the script, I just wanted to show you guys that there was no database called Ethernet in the other servers. So now I will run this file on server 1, and I'll see that the database called Aethermart was created. The count will be 0 for now in all the servers. Like this is server 2. So the count is 0, right? Because we haven't loaded the data yet. So if I go further, now this is my file which I used to load my data. So I load the data and again see. So the name was different. So spelling mistake. So the data was loaded. If I see the count now, I see that the data is inserted. And again, it got replicated to other servers also. So the same thing I did in my primary secondary replication. So I had all these files. I just run my file to create the database first. That will create a database. So this is the primary server, right? Now I'll see that the database is created. And I can see that in my secondary server also because it was replicated, right? So I can see the same database here. Then again, I will see the count. It will show as 0 in both the servers, right? Now I'll load the data in my primary server. I'll see the count, and I see that the data is loaded in the secondary server as well. So the replication is working fine. So moving ahead, the AI disclosure. So AI helped me to correct and refine things, as I've already discussed in the video, like where I used AI. So it helped me interpret MariaDB and Galera errors to refine configs and also to recover failed nodes. So there was a time when all the nodes were failed. So I was using AI to figure out that how should I recover those nodes. Then the benefits of AI was that the the understanding was fast. I was like, whenever I had a doubt, I went to AI and just I got the right answer. The real-time debugging assistance, it acted as a real-time debugging assistance and just was like I was able to answer all my queries, and I was able to figure out and I was able to debug using AI. Now the limitations are that it needed a lot of iteration to debug the read-only issue. That it was again and again giving me the same answer that use super read-only, but then after a number of iterations, it suggested that okay, this is not supported in MariaDB. This was there in MySQL, so lots of iterations were needed. The AI instructions did not work to bring back all the nodes which went down in Galera. Yeah, so here also there was some issue that I had to debug a lot. Impact is that AI acted as a learning, debugging, and reasoning partner, and um, yeah, that's it. So thank you so much. If you have any queries, you can reach out to me, and we can talk about it. Thank you. Have a good day.